Welcome to Where She Builds.
The podcast where two globetrotting solopreneurs share the real journey of building a life and business on the move.
I'm Shandy, an online personal trainer helping people feel strong anywhere in the world.
And I'm Anna, creator of Your Travel Friend Anna, a global community and go-to resource for those wanting to live a fulfilling and culturally curious life.
Thanks for being here.
Let's dive into this week's episode. Welcome back, everyone, to the Where She Builds podcast. I'm Anna, joined always by my co-host, Shandy. Good morning from Canada, Shandy. How are you?
Great. Good afternoon from the Netherlands. I'm doing great. And how are you? How's your trip going?
I'm good. I need to share that I am officially traveling again. I am on a road trip in British Columbia, Canada, and I'm coming to you from Vancouver.
Ooh, she's back in Vancouver.
Yeah.
How is it? How does it feel to be back?
You know, it's interesting. I used to live here for almost 10 years. I did my undergrad here, and it's this weird mixed feeling of familiarity / things change. I mean, some of these like hubs that aren't necessarily in like the proper downtown Vancouver, but Brentwood, Lougheed Station, there's just so much construction happening, but it's all yet familiar to me. So I just love, it's like the best time of year to come. We are starting to get, as we record this, some forest fire smoke is coming in because there's a forest near Squamish, which is on the way to Whistler, to give people some geography. But it's like such a beautiful time. Everything's so lush and blooming and green, and anything goes here. You can wear whatever you want. You can be whoever you want. That kind of feeling is so nice in comparison to Alberta a little bit. So yeah, it's so nice to be back here in Vancouver. And how's the Netherlands? What's the weather doing over there these days?
It is hot. It is hot here today, so I'm wearing my nice tank top, and yesterday I sat out in the sun, so I have a beautiful farmer's tan. For those of you that cannot see it, it is just a nice tan where you're like wearing a shirt. I don't know, is farmer's tan more of like a Canadian slang, or is it typical?
I think it's a Canadian slang.
Yeah.
The idea is that farmers wore t-shirts, and then they were working out in the fields, and then they got a farmer's tan. I don't know why I went.
Little
Farmers in
yeehaw.
Canada, they don't talk like that in Canada, but anyway.
I was not working out in the field either. I was having a nice coffee outside on the terrace, but otherwise.
You could have been working on your phone. That's working hard still.
Yeah. Working hard. I called my sister the other day and I said, "Are you working hard or hardly working?" Oh. And then I got my nephew to say this now, so I'm loving it. He's 4 years old, by the way.
I wore, again, for those on YouTube, I'm wearing like a white button down with some, what is this called? Embroidery on it, which is definitely a hand-me-down shirt. From my sister's friend I just got, but I feel like it's very Vancouver-esque, so I'm rocking.
It's very cute.
Hipster.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's very hipster-esque.
Yes.
I love it.
I thought it was perfect. So yeah, so I've started this road trip on last week. So I've been a week on the road, and I started by driving just outside of Kelowna to visit my sister, and then 2 days ago I drove from there to here in Vancouver, which was great. It was a beautiful drive on the Coquihalla Highway. So try to say that 3 times fast. Or I guess have you ever read Coquihalla? It's it might be an Indigenous word actually, and that's why I should research this.
So yeah, I don't know. You said that that's the first time I'm hearing it. So
the Coquihalla Highway.
Yeah, never heard of it.
Oh, it's a highway in BC that takes you from like Kelowna to Vancouver. But I wonder where their name came from. I'm Googling it. Everyone. Doing it right now. It is a language of the Stolo people, meaning stingy container, and it refers to a fishing rock near the mouth of what is known as the Coquihalla Highway. This rock is a good platform for spearing salmon.
Well, there you go. A little bit of Canadian history.
Canadian history for both of us to learn.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, learning something new every day.
Yeah, and this is my first, our very first episode. You were in the van in Sweden, and this is my first remote podcast setup.
Yeah, so can you maybe share how your setup is? Because you were explaining this to me before we started recording, and I think this needs to be on the podcast, of the typical way of, let's say, we're doing a podcast, you're traveling. How are you set up to right now?
So every time we schedule a podcast recording, I'm always like, okay, that time works. That's good. I just don't know where I'll be and how I'll set it up. So I always preface Shandy that like maybe I'll have to cancel last minute, but I'm currently sitting on a chair with a laundry basket in front of me with a MacBook like box with a Tupperware container with my microphone on top. And then we've started recording. I think the last 2 episodes I've recorded as video on my phone. So I'm using like a full standing tripod and a ring light today because I'm facing backwards. I'm not facing light. I'm actually facing a closet of clothes.
I do have to say, for those on YouTube, you can also say this, that your lighting is perfect. You look great.
Merci beaucoup, madame. Thank you. Got the Mac all the way to. Wait, we're gonna give him. That's better. Actually, I just went full brightness on my computer. That's even better.
Nice. There we go. This is the perfect setup. You can do it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. Bless Shandy. What usually happens on these episodes is before we start recording, I'm like, Shandy, I'm a little bit running behind. Can we just like have admin talk while I do my makeup?
But you're also, what time is it there? 8:30 now?
It's 8:30. I've been awake for
But
like an hour and a half now.
that's the thing. Like, you have to wake up quite early to have these calls, and you have to be ready, and you have to have your voice ready as well. So
Yeah.
I understand that. I mean, I'm cool with having the admin calls and catching up and seeing how things are going, and then we can record as well. We have a little bit of topics that we want to talk about. So
Yeah, it's good. I think it's efficiency. And yeah,
yeah,
it's like the German side of my brain wanting to make the moment and your time too, respect each other's time. So
yeah.
we get kind of that like first instinct. What do we need to catch up on? What are we planning for the podcast? Who's going to be next on our podcast, which is always really exciting to talk about. But what is going on in like Shandy's business? Because I feel like our chitty chat in previous episodes, which is kind of what we're going to call this pre-talk to any of our interviews or deep topic episodes, but what's going on in Shandy's business world. You're a personal trainer online. For people who haven't listened to her interview episode, which is episode 3, you should definitely go back and listen to that. What's going on in Coach Shandy world?
We're busy. We're busy, but we're having fun. I was telling you before we had this call, but yeah, today it was a lot of programming. So I do online training for my online clients, and then I also do in person too. So I try to batch everything together. So when I'm making programs, I try to see, okay, who's up for a new program, because they're all over the place. Like, some people are due on a Monday, some people are due Fridays, and then it's also weeks in advance kind of thing, because I change or create programs every 6 weeks. And then in person every 4 weeks. So it does change a lot. So I try to batch them. So today was my batch day that I just spent 6.5 hours
Oof.
making programs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then for my online clients, also like the ones that I don't do one-on-one calls with, I create videos for them. So after I've created the program, then I create videos and kind of explain how to do the exercises, where they should be feeling it. And then I attach that onto the emails and everything that I send to them. So they have a full, let's say, idea of what they need to do and where they should be feeling it, where they should be, let's say, how they can be doing the exercises, that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of going back and forth between my desk setup and my living room where I record the videos. So I'm getting my steps in the day anyways, even though I haven't left the apartment yet. But
But you're going to go for a walk after this, get a little
you
fresh
betcha.
air. But I love the fact that you provide some visual cues and support for your clients with these programs. It's very cool.
Yeah, it's been a learning process, to be honest. When I first started, I just created the program. And then I was explaining to you in in my interview episode, I was explaining kind of how I set it up. So I do 3 week check in calls and then 6 week check in calls. And then I noticed in those check in calls, there was a lot of times that the 3 weeks had passed and some people were like, I still don't know how to do this exercise. And that
Right.
was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I just, in my mind, I think, okay, bench press. Now I know, obviously, I know how to do a bench press, but it's very, let's say if you're just starting into fitness, you might not know how to set up a bench press. So then I was like, okay, now I need to look at how I can set this up for people that are online, because this is the majority of my clients, and how I can make it as efficient for them to watch a video and not have to YouTube every single exercise that I give to them. So then I just create a personalized video for them, and then it's also more personal then too. Then they can see me, they can hear me talk, they can hear how I explain things, how I would explain it in a gym, but then they have it in a video that they can watch at any time. And I've had really great feedback from people saying that they watch the video, 10, 15 times, because they go back at this
Wow.
specific time and they can see, okay, this is where Shandy's explaining how to do a squat, or this is where Shandy's explaining how to do a plank hold, or something like that. So it's really great. And it's nice to hear the feedback of that as well, so that I can always continuously get better, because that's something, of course, that I'm always wanting to do as an entrepreneur, is improve my business.
Are you keeping like a repertoire? Maybe this is an idea too, because I wonder if you, as you record these videos and you're making cues for clients, my brain is going to, you should keep a repertoire of like what we would call in the YouTube or video world B-roll. So all these like standardized videos of one of a plank hold, one of a bench press, because in the future you won't have to redo those videos individually. Of course, there's like everyone's different, but maybe it'd be worth like when you record next, thinking of recording them separately, and then you can reuse that material and save.
I love it. We're all about efficiency. That's a great idea, actually.
Yeah, we should talk about
Yeah.
that and how to organize them maybe, because I feel like, especially as you talk like those people who don't have experience with it and that
Yeah.
beginner kind of, how do I do a bench press video? That material could be reused, and if there's still questions, then you can make that kind of customized piece of video.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. I love that tip. Thank you. And
Well,
how are things going on your business end,
you're
Anna?
welcome. Also, you didn't ask for help, but that's my natural
No, I
instinct is
love
to
it.
problem
So,
solve.
for the people that are listening, this is exactly how our calls would go, our check-in calls every 2 weeks, every month that we did for the past
Yeah.
year. And it's been so helpful for my business, and I hope also for yours, that you get to bounce ideas off of each other and to say, like, I would have never thought of this idea that you just brought up to me. Because I'm just such an old school person when it comes to things, that I really want to make it all personalized, but then I can also make it personalized how you just said, but then save some time for myself too. So
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
that.
I don't
Yeah.
think it's going to take away from the personal connection point at all. So,
No, no, absolutely not. But how's your business? So little backstory here. I was on Instagram last night and I saw some amazing photos come by, and I got some pictures done by one of her friends, and it looks amazing. Such cool pictures.
yes, thank you so much, Andy. Those were done by my friend Poppy. That is not Poppy, it's Poppy like the flower, Poppy, Wild Poppy Photography. And this is a friend I've been co working with a lot. Like, we known of each other for maybe 10 years at least,
Wow.
through the dance studio world growing up and through my sister. And yeah, we've kind of been bartering skills back and forth. So I have to give some like pre-story to it, because I've been supporting her with building her website and like identifying ways to make her solopreneur and freelance business more efficient, and managing her money better for her business and planning ahead a bit better. And so in doing that, she's like, "Oh, thank you so much." And I was like, "Well, just add credit to the photo shoot." It was like a joke.
Yeah.
And so then, yeah, we got to not record, we got to shoot together in a studio in Calgary before I left. So it's just so nice to have like solid photos again and
Yeah.
kind of do this, like, I guess, branding shoot, a little bit of headshots. So thank you so much. Thank you to Poppy. So, and
Yeah.
also I'm trying to convince her to come to the co-living in Montenegro in October.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, yeah, that's been a big part of like what I'm working on right now. So I launched the pop-up co-living that I'm hosting in Montenegro, which will include Shandy actually as well, which is something we definitely need to get featured on the webpage, to help us stay active and moving during that month. And then also I hope to have Poppy there so that people can get little branding shoots from her. And even if you're not a content creator, or you're someone who's very public in the eye, sometimes you need a nice photo for grandma's Christmas card too.
Yeah. But not even for that though. If you're an entrepreneur, you need headshots.
You need,
100%.
yeah,
You
like
need
if
that.
someone asks you to speak at a webinar and they're like, "Can you
Yeah.
send us your photo to, like, make into that business's webinar poster?" You just
Hmm.
want a nice picture that, and just some variety a bit too, I think is
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. But those headshots, amazing. And then in one of those pictures, I saw a little your travel friend hat. And I was talking with Anna beforehand too. And I said, where can I get one of those? Because I love it. So please share where we can get your hat.
Yeah, I've been building some merch for the Your Travel Friend brand. So they're all on my website, yourtravelfriendanna.com/shop. And in that kind of how I set like a strategy or a goal of mine is every month to create a new product, not forever, because I just want to build a nice base and maybe we'll be updating material by then. But I ordered hoodies for the month of May. May was hoodies. And funny story. So they were supposed to come to my sister's house. I planned them that before I come to Vancouver, they'll be at my sister's house. And then they said they're going to come the day after I leave my sister's. And I was like, that's
Oh,
fine. I'm
no.
going back to hers in July. And then the day I was leaving, it said, no, it should deliver between 10:45 and 2:45. And I thought, oh, that would be like so great if I could grab them and work on them this whole month. So I was going to leave around 12:30. And then I was like, I'll stay till 1. And then it was like 1, and I was like 1:15. I'm emptying the dishwasher. I'm cleaning up procrastinating. And 1:30, I was like, you know what? I gotta go. Like, I said bye to my sister. I was like, call me if they come. I might turn around. 10 minutes later, no.
No.
And actually, first, right before I left, a car pulled up and I was like, do you have an order for Anna? And they were like, no, someone else. And I was like, oh, my heart sank. And then 10 minutes later, she's like, they're here. And I,
Oh,
not very safely, pulled into this like camping turnaround spot, drove back into the city, picked them up, and then back on the highway. Still made it for dinner for with my friend in Vancouver. Um,
wow.
anyway, it was just like I just felt like, wow, I'm really trying to make this business happen. I'm doing everything I can. But
Yeah.
just for context, the hoodies look great. I'm happy with the placing of the material, the design. I feel like they're so cute. But the actual hoodie itself, I'm so glad I ordered samples because they call it a modern fit. They're a bit slimmer in the torso.
Oh, okay.
And I'd probably wear like a medium unisex size, maybe a large if I want to go really baggy. And like the medium is snug, like
Okay.
snug. Like Pat probably would want like an extra large.
Really?
Like I
Okay.
would order a large for sure. So then I looked at them and yes, they are a modern fit. Did not read all the description. So I think I'm going to change the actual hoodie to be more of a standard fit. And that sizing actually can go up to 5XL as well. So I like that's a bit more inclusive, especially if
Nice.
someone wants a really baggy hoodie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, those are going to change on the website and they'll be available soon. But the hats are on the website. You can get them in blue, green. There's two different versions. So there's one with the logo on it, and then there's one that just says your travel friend, which I'm hoping when people travel, it just kind of like sparks that
Yeah.
conversation point. And that's something we're going to be talking about in a future episode about how to make friends. So maybe this is like a conversation starter of, will you be my travel friend?
I love it. I'm so excited. I'm going to order that right away. I'm so excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and yeah, they're meant to be fun and they're meant to be simple colors so you can travel with them. That's something I'm really thinking of, and simple ball caps, which are so good, ladies and gents, and anyone else. They are just so good for bad hair days. You want to cover your eyes on the bus, you just tilt it down. You know, there's multi uses for this, and of course, if you're sweating or in sun, it's nice to cover the face. So, I always wear ball caps like at least twice a week. I honestly do.
Yeah.
Wash hair days, I do.
Great idea. Great idea, to be honest. And I like that you said there are more neutral colors too, because then they go with everything. Because if you're traveling, you don't want to have all of these different colors, or you don't want to have a bright ball cap because you're never going to wear it if you're wearing something else. So it's nice that they will fit with everything that you bring with you.
Yeah, yeah. And some are my brand colors are kind of pink, blue, and like neutrals, like a cream and a brown. So some of them are more pinky, some of them are more blue. They are open to everyone for wearing, but like there's definitely something for the girlies that they can wear. And the hoodies have fun sayings on them, so I don't want to spoil it too much. People have to check out the website, and they will be up by this time. This not this chitty chat happens because this is going to come out on Tuesday, but like stay tuned. Actually, maybe they will. I got to work my butt off. They'll be up by Tuesday. I'm holding myself to it now.
I love
Tuesday's the
that.
deadline. Check out the website. I'll put it in the show notes as well, for chitty chat. That way you have
Yeah,
it. But should
great.
we get into today's episode talking a little bit about money and finance?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, let's get right into it for our topic today. It is money, money, money.
Must be funny in a rich
Rich
man's
man's
world.
world.
Neither of us are singers.
Not at all.
Yeah, today we are talking about Manola, money, dinero, diner, guilders it used to be back in the Netherlands.
Geld.
Oh,
That's how
geld.
you say money. Yeah, geld.
There we go.
Beautiful throat sound.
I can do actually the Dutch
Yeah,
geld. I think it's
that's
decent, maybe.
impressive. Yeah, yeah. I'm impressed.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so money talk. What do we want to talk about with money, Shandy? What are we doing today?
I'm just going to jump into the first question because we're talking about all things travel with money, with how we're handling different currencies and everything. But I want to start off because we all know now, since we listened to your previous episode about you and what your history was, you know a lot about money. So I want to ask you, where did you learn about accounting?
Yeah, it's this episode I'm so excited about because I'm a bit of a money nerd, and I want to preface that by saying I'm not rich. Rich being by 1 million to me is rich still these days. But I am money interested. I've always liked talking about finances. I've never been scared about it. I'm not a financial advisor or deep into like real estate maximizing your company's profits. Like that's not what I'm into. I'm into just the basic human. And I learned about accounting from my father, who is an accountant. So my joke
Perfect.
was at the dinner table, we didn't talk politics, we talked money. So it wasn't necessarily using tangible current examples, but it was like, oh, did you hear about the FHSA, which in Canada is your first home savings account? Getting emails from like family group chats about that. So that's my thing about money, and I can tangibly remember making money as a kid, babysitting mostly. I had my first job at 14 because I grew up dancing, which is a very expensive sport. I remember being talked about like budgeting the dance year and how much things were costing, which I genuinely really appreciate that my parents put a dollar to what I want to do another solo. My mom's like, well, this is how much more it costs. So are you going to contribute because we are covering this much? And like, if you want to do more, like, it's so much more money. And so, babysitting, I always had so much cash on hand. I was like the cash bank account for my parents because I still got paid in cash. And also, I remember since I think it is 2012, I have been tracking every penny I earn, spend. Yeah, I have
Since
spreadsheets back.
2012.
Yeah, I have spreadsheets back to 2012 because I have this
Whoa.
visual in my mind of being at Simon Fraser University in the dorm rooms and like doing my first, I call it my money tracker spreadsheet.
Okay, tell me more. Tell us more. What is included in your I am invested now. What is in your money tracker since 2012?
Yeah, this podcast maybe is coming out too soon. Like I should have maybe planned this later because I have built a money tracker template for travelers. It just needs to have those like final polishing pieces on it. And I'm distracted with a couple other projects in my road trip right now. Um, but it I have always enjoyed knowing where my money is going, where it's coming from, and maybe because I've always had multiple income sources. So I don't know if you feel this, but like if you were, as you shared in your episode, you were coaching as a swimmer, maybe you did some babysitting too. And when I finished university, I've always just had multiple income sources. So I think for me, there wasn't a $4,000 every month paycheck. Like it was never consistent. So I think for me, knowing like, okay, because expenses fluctuate and my income fluctuates, how's everything balancing out? And when friends would say, like, oh my gosh, my credit card's full, I say, well, what did you spend it on? I don't know where it went. I can tell you where I spent everything. I can tell you I've been going out for coffee. I bought a new computer. Like where is my money going and how can we adjust things, yeah, to make the budget happen. So, do
Wow.
you have a money tracker and or budget, which I want to get into my opinion about budgets, but do you have
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
Shandy?
I do have more of a, let's say, finance tracker that I update every month just to kind of see if I'm making progress, yes or no, and if I need to cut back on certain spendings or a certain, let's say, the Dutch word subscriptions. Dutch word came up in my mind.
Wow.
I know it happens ridiculously amount of time, but it's fine. Yeah, so different subscriptions, everything I have written down, and also just a little bit, yeah, tracking my income coming in because, like you said, I really resonate with you saying that you know you have different incomes all the time. You didn't have just that $4,000 paycheck coming in every single month, so I do kind of keep track of that way.
Hey friends, I just wanted to pause this episode, which I hope you're enjoying, to let you know about the pop-up co-living I'm hosting in Montenegro in October 2025. And this is Anna, your travel friend Anna. I'm hosting a group trip in Montenegro, which is for remote workers, digital nomads, long-term travelers, people who are passionate about exploring a culture for a longer region. We are in Montenegro with private accommodations, co-working spaces, sunset, a beach a 15-minute walk away, mountains right in your eyesight. We will be exploring the region together. We will have a wine tasting, a boat tour, so many fun things. And the best part is you have a space where you can focus. And if you are working remotely, you can focus on your business while also getting to have friendships, to explore the place you were living for a month. So the early bird for this trip ends June 29th, which is in just a few days. So check it out at yourtravelfriendanna.com/coliving-montenegro-2025. That was a mouthful. It will be in the show notes, but I hope you can join myself and also Coach Shandy there. She will make an appearance as being our lead movement instructor and trainer. That is Co-Living in Montenegro in 2025 with your travel friend Anna. Thanks so much, and let's get back to the episode.
How often do you update yours? Is it a daily thing?
No, I've set aside. I'm not that addicted. It's
Okay.
weekly with pleasure. So actually,
Wow.
we are recording on a Tuesday, and Tuesdays is weekly money tracker. It's on the to-do list for Tuesdays. It used to be Sundays, but I've tried to move all my tasks into weekdays. So I will open up all my bank accounts, go through my transactions, categorize them. Actually, just to give some backstory of like one of the best reasons to do this is Shandy and I have used the platform Riverside, which they're not sponsoring us to say this, but they can in the future. We are very open to it. But in setting up our platform for where she builds, I had opened it up by accident with my personal email and it actually started charging. And then it charged right away. And then the trial was I don't know, I got like double charged. And I
Oh.
saw that on my tracker and I messaged them and I said, so I was like, whoa, what's going on here? Like, I don't want this. And I got all my money back. And I love Riverside, just for context. Their customer service was great. And like, we're enjoying using them and editing with them. But yeah, if I didn't look at my spreadsheet, I would have never known because I didn't get an email notification of a receipt. So yeah, it's weekly and just checking in on things. I'm curious how much you use yours as a budget. Do you use it to restrict how much you might spend, or you set certain categories for spending?
Yeah. So I use an online banking app. Well, I use Wise. We were talking
Oh,
about this before. But
yeah.
honestly, I much prefer Revolut to Wise.
Mm.
And the only thing is that with Canadians, because I applied for it with my Canadian number, and then that was right during the trial that they had, but then they cut it. So Canadians can't use it, unfortunately. But now because I'm, let's say, yeah, I'm in the Netherlands, I'm in Europe, I'm able
You
to
have a
have
Dutch
the Revolut.
number, is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm able to use it as, let's say, not a citizen of the Netherlands, but I'm part of the EU. So I'm able to use the Revolut, and in there they actually have, let's say, like budgets that you can set.
Oh,
I
cool.
just lightly go along with it, so I can see, how much we pay for rent per month, and kind of set aside money for that. And I can see um, grocery shopping, how much we pay per month with that. So I kind of, take the budget that way, and then we can see if we're spending way, way over than what we usually do. We see, okay, what happened? What are we doing? Kind of thing. Cut it back that way. But yeah, very lightly. It's not like we stick very strictly to it because I think both Pat and I are quite frugal when it comes to money. Like we're not crazy spenders, but I think that also comes to living in the van for 3 years where we couldn't buy anything because the van was so small. So I think we just kind of took those habits with us. So we haven't really been crazy about buying new clothes or buying new gadgets or things like that. But yeah.
You're intentional spenders. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
for me, that's why I call it a money tracker, not a budget, like a budget, my money budget thingy. Um, because I don't believe in budgets. So you said it exactly that. You look at it as a reflection point and you go, whoa, we spent, okay, maybe I'm like whipping out numbers here, 500 euros on groceries. And if the previous month you spent 200, it's like being like, well, why did we spend that? And I just want to preface with this whole conversation, there is nothing wrong with
No.
any choice of spending. If you spend 500 euros on groceries, maybe it's because you guys were so busy, you bought a lot more pre-made meals. Maybe you, if we consider food in general, maybe you're eating out because there was a lot of celebrations. I think what I love about a money tracker is it's a chance for you to just look at your money. Like it's a chance for you to say, wow, that month was really high. Maybe June, July, when you're visiting people, like on my road trip, I know I'm going to be eating out more because I want to see friends. I want to have coffee with them. I want to have summer experiences that include more eating out. And that is going to be higher than in December when it's minus 20 outside and I've been living with my parents and not leaving the house. So That's why I call it a money tracker, because it just gives you a chance to observe things. And of course, we're traveling. So some buckets of the budget are going to change drastically depending on what you're doing. Because I'm sure you just finished a van life trip to Sweden. I'm sure the gas little bucket was a little bit higher than normal.
Yeah, yeah, the gas and also the differences in prices in different countries.
Yes.
Ridiculous. Groceries in Sweden compared to the Netherlands is so much more. So we ended up spending a lot more on groceries and a lot more on gas and a lot more on everything. So that was a big awakening. We said, "Oh, it was a great time, but it was very expensive. Now we got to get down and work a little bit extra hours." And but it's fine though. And that's the thing. Like we were able to look back and see, we overspent in this category, but that's okay because we were on vacation. So we're looking at this and kind of categorizing it also helps a lot. But
Well, I think you can now reflect on the trip, and then
yeah,
again, if by your standards it was expensive or too much, you now know you have something visual to look at or like quantitative to look at, so that the next month you know, okay, how are we adjusting so just everything balances at the end of the day.
absolutely. Absolutely. Do you have a difference or how do you approach your finances when you're at home versus when you're traveling? Like, do you constantly, let's say every week, still update it or how do you separate them? Yeah,
Yeah, I
she's
am
nodding yes.
literally that nerd. Like I just had like that was random. Let's just say one of my ex-boyfriends thought I was crazy. And then I met my next partner. This is a long time ago. And he was like, "Whoa, that's a cool spreadsheet." And I was like, "It's cool." Like the moment someone complimented me on it, like he because his brain just didn't work like that at the time, and so he was like, wow, this is so cool what you have. So
Yeah,
yes, when I am traveling, I update it weekly. Still, one, it's a habit thing, so why would I change a habit that I have at home? Let's create that consistency when moving. It just becomes a bit heavier because I'm doing currency changing. So my preference is to still think in my brain in Canadian dollars. It's the one I'm most familiar with. It's most of where my income's coming in, so I, in my tracker, look at things. And also, what I'm fascinated about in terms of currency is cash versus card. So if I take some cash out, I know what that currency exchange rate was. And then when I'm spending on a card, I can compare the two and say what was the better exchange rate if it was within the same day. So I am nerdifying to that degree. And most of the time, my card is actually better.
really.
Yeah, I think there is ways to play the cash system. I don't think I'm playing it very well. And I just prefer card in general because, one, if it's a proper credit card, travel credit card, you have some insurance there. As you said, Wise or Revolut, it's just, you can see it. Your cash, when it's gone, it's gone. You
Yeah,
don't know where it all went.
yeah, I 100% agree with that. That's one thing that I hate about cash is that you can spend it on anything and you don't know where you spent it. Like you can take out 200 euros and the next day it's gone and you're like, where did where did it go? I
Yeah.
don't have it anywhere. Yeah.
Would you take a receipt though? Are you a receipt girly?
I used to be. So growing up, my mom was always balancing her checkbook. So she was
Cute.
very much, yeah, she's also into finance quite a bit. So growing up, I'd watch her always balancing her checkbook and she would always collect receipts. Still to this day, like my dad comes home and he's more of a money spender. He loves to spend money. And he comes home with a stack of receipts. He puts it on the counter. My mom goes through her checkbook and she writes everything down. And yeah,
It's
also
cool. Like
checkbooks,
like
so not a
women,
European thing. Yeah.
yeah, and women in like, I love that your mom's handling the money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She is 100%. My dad doesn't know what goes on with the money behind. My mom is the boss when it comes to that stuff. But I
I
think it
love
was really
this.
helpful growing up to be able to see, because by no means did we have a lot of money growing up. So it was really nice to see her handle the amount of money that they did have in such a finesse way. Like it was just, okay, these are also kind of budgeting wise. Like we go here and we go to the grocery store on this day because it's cheaper. And then we do this and we do this. And she had a whole list of everything. So I thought that was really impressive. And I think I kind of took that for the longest time, where I just collect receipts and I kind of look at things. And then now Patrick is very much against receipts. He's like, why do you need a receipt? I was like, well, maybe I can look back. He's like, you don't have a checkbook. Why do you take receipts? I'm
I
like,
love a
oh,
checkbook.
that's right. I don't have a checkbook.
Patrick, Anna saves receipts because then she can look at how much things actually cost, especially when I'm in a different currency than Canadian, US, euro, I'm pretty like quick math on that. I can kind of do the pound as well, but like when I was in Turkey, when I'm in Czech Republic, but like in Turkey where rent is like 7,000 liras a month, which is actually pretty cheap rent, but I'm like, "What? 7,000?" And then I'm going to the bank and on YouTube I'm holding up my hand. You can see it like a stack of cash because they didn't have, I hope my memory is correct. They don't have a bill that's higher than 200. So if you
Really?
need 7,000, I felt like a drug dealer.
You got the stacks.
And then they were saying like, well, when landlords collect rent, they're walking around with like basically a foot or like 6 to 12 inches, which is 15 to 30 centimeters of
I
cash. And
like
I'm like,
your
wow.
you have the conversion
Just so
property.
people, our international audience here. Yeah. So anyway, I like, so two things for receipts. I do collect some receipts, especially if it's a business related expense. It's really important to just track that for business purposes. And then also, it's very interesting for me to compare pricing and like if I'm staying somewhere for a month or two as well, comparing stores. So if I don't know the stores in Canada, I could tell you Superstore's cheaper than Sobeys for Western Canada. But if you just come here, you don't know that. So kind of if I'm staying somewhere for a longer time, comparing what how much the bananas are at one store versus the other.
That's actually really
So
smart. Yeah. I
thanks.
never Thanks.
I'm gonna take it as a compliment. I'm trying
Yeah.
to just, I think it's smart.
I
So
think
yeah,
it's really smart. Yeah.
I do have plans to make a money tracking template. And I do offer support for people if they want to start budgeting. I helped a friend, he was going to Rome actually, in our last interview. I helped Lasheen with his budget when he was going to Rome because he said, "Oh, I don't know how much it's gonna cost." And I was like, "Well, what do you spend money on?" "I don't know." So classic answer, it's not a big deal, but also what do you want to spend money on? What's important to you? Is a gym important to you? Is a lot of money for eating out important to you? Do you do big adventures? What are your you do like a nicer accommodation? Nicer is like a private bigger space, or you're like hostel person through and through that doesn't matter to you. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's just interesting to put all those numbers into a spreadsheet and see how things are balancing.
Yeah, absolutely. And we kind of touched base on this a little bit, but what would you say is the best way to manage your international clients, your cash, your conversions? Like we were talking about that we both use Wise, but what do you use?
I'm gonna again, Wise do not sponsor us, so Wise, we are ready for you. You actually introduced me to Wise Business
Mm,
in Montenegro when we met, and I was like dumbfounded because I took an international payment and I think I had like an $18 service fee on it. And if I had used Wise, it might have been a buck or two.
yeah.
So I personally enjoy Wise. I've heard amazing things about Revolut, but again, with a Canadian number, I don't know if you have to really be a resident. I know it's a Canadian number. I cannot access Revolut. So Revolut, please make it accessible to us
Yeah.
because I'd like
Yeah.
to try you.
Yeah, honestly, I love Revolut. That's one thing that they have. So they have a Revolut business as well. Um, Pat was using it, but then so it started as free, and now you have to start paying for Revolut. But I'm sure that that will also start to happen with Business Wise as well. It's just kind of when. But honestly, I'm going to say this in quotations. I'm happy to pay for Business Wise because it works really well and it's super easy to receive money from all over the world. Because, let's say, from my position and also yours, we have international clients, so people from everywhere. And it's so nice to be able to receive euros. It's so nice to be able to receive the USD. It's so easy to receive Canadian, and it's all in one area and you can quickly look at it. Where I don't know if you have the same experience, but Canadian banking sucks. Like I
It's
have, yeah.
unless you're doing business just with Canadians. It's great for that. Like we have e-transfer in
Yeah.
Canada. That's
Yeah.
the Venmo is the US version. We have e-transfer. It's perfect. I could send you money, Shandy. I know that you have access to a Canadian bank. But if you don't, it's like, ugh, ugh.
I find it so frustrating. And I mean, this is a long time ago as well, but when we were building the van, I had to transfer a lump sum of money from Canada to Europe somehow, so to a different bank account so that I could pay for part of the van. And the amount of money that I lost in conversions from the Canadian bank account still hurts me to this day. Like it still makes me sick to my stomach. And I just thought if Wise or if Revolut existed at that time and I knew about it, I would have saved so much money. So just that conversion or that that transfer is crazy how much Revolut or Wise, or there's also N26
Okay.
that I don't know if that's in Canada, but in Europe that also works similarly to Wise, I'd
It's
say.
another French bank, isn't it?
It could be. Yeah, I'm not sure where it stemmed from, but that's another one that I use partially for different things. So it also really great to transfer money, to accept money that way.
Yeah, we'll leave links in our show descriptions for both Wise and Revolut that are going to be helpful for you. And just if someone's listening and they're like, what are you talking about? Basically, Wise and Revolut don't have any stationary banks or physical banks. They're an online banking system. And how I view it is inside that you have individual bank accounts for different currencies. So if you receive money in USD, it sits in your USD bank account. And if you have an expense in USD, it'll first pull from your USD bank account, and if you don't, it will pull from the next bank account that you have. So it automatically converts things. So it's great. As a Canadian, we have a lot of subscriptions that are still charged in USD. So if I ever took money from a USD or someone wanted to pay in that, then it's great because it's like there's no conversion. It's just going straight out. So you can accept money from almost anywhere. So, friends in Bulgaria, they had to send me money. I could accept Bulgarian leva. I think I'm forgetting the currency. I believe it's leva. Oh, that's going to bother me. Anyway, apologies if that's wrong. But it's so cool. So it's great. And especially, let's get into maybe a little bit of traveling with friends because it made me think I know the Balkan countries aren't as well versed in um, splitting bills or like their POS systems don't allow it. So it's so awesome to pay friends when you are in a big group or you need to split bills or activities. So, what are kind of some of your opinions or tips about traveling with other people?
Honestly, I think just personality wise, I'm very much somebody that takes on the personality of somebody that I'm traveling with. But also friend wise, I look at that as well. So people that when they're traveling maybe are a little bit more frugal, then I'm really looking at, let's say I went to um like I did a trip a couple years ago and we were traveling around and the friend was a little bit more frugal. So we were looking at, okay, how can we for breakfast, let's go into a little a gas station kind of thing and grab a banana and some protein and then we're good for breakfast. Whereas there's just recently then another friend that I traveled with and we went for coffee dates in the morning. So we went out and grabbed a coffee and then we had a little croissant there at a cafe. So of course that's a little bit more expensive. But yeah, I'm very much depending. Of course, I also budget for the travels that I go on to as well now because I'm more stationary. So if I know I'm going to, for example, we were going to Sweden a couple of weeks ago. So I knew we were going to Sweden. Every month I would set aside some money just so I had that little bit of extra, if I wanted to go out for a coffee and a croissant, I could. So that I had that extra money there. But I'm really curious about what you do because you also, and as a solo traveler too, though, because like I haven't solo traveled in a long time because I travel with Pat all the time. So I'm curious what you do when you're traveling by yourself versus if you're traveling with friends or with acquaintances. Like, how do you balance that?
I was gonna say you're like the best travel friend to travel with. The fact that you're like even curious or not curious, aware of the person you're traveling with and what their budget might be, you are a blessing to us solo travelers, Shandy. Because I think that is one of the biggest things and can be a misconception too. Because I've met people remote working who make a really nice income and we're in a place that's relatively cheap, yet they won't spend. And I've learned that in their case, they're really saving up for a more luxurious destination, or if Sweden, for example, where it's definitely much higher to go. So even if they're in a place where it's, the average cost of everything is lower in compared to other places, um, I think communication and I'm like hating this word, but it's like the perfect word. So it's asking like, what's your expectation for breakfast? Is it eating out? Do you like to cook? Like if we're taking an early morning bus, I prefer that we go the night before and we pick up those, what are those croissants in the bags called in Europe? Like the croissant to go. You
I
know what I'm
think
talking
probably
about. They're
that.
like a red bag. They're at
Yeah,
Lidl,
I don't
little
know the name of
Lidl.
them. I know them, but I don't know the name of them. I couldn't
Yeah,
tell
like
you.
I'm picking up one of those and a banana the night before, and I'm making maybe instant coffee in my hotel room because I like too much coffee. So when I travel with others, I try and have that conversation ahead of time, which is always awkward and a little weird. But I just say, like, are we splitting costs 50-50? I usually like to keep something of a Splitwise going. So if you've never used Splitwise, freaking download it right now.
Amazing.
But also, Splitwise, why are we not updating the software or app? Like, it's so old looking.
Yeah.
Have you
I
noticed
was,
that?
you know what? I used Splitwise not too long ago for a trip that I went on with a friend. And so nice, although I got really frustrated with the limit that you could put on for the free version, which I
Yeah.
get it, but you could only upload, I think, 3 things each day. It's like, come
They've locked
on.
in. They've locked in
Yeah.
so people get the pro, which is fair. You know, they got
Yeah.
to support the business somehow. But
Yeah.
Splitwise is so great because what it does is you can enter an expense, you can enter who paid it, who owes for the expense, and how much. So, for example, if you have a partner who eats twice as much as you, they can pay 60% and you pay 30%. So, yeah, I usually encourage a Splitwise. I am usually the one who's entering all the expenses where some people just could not give to, you know, I don't want to swear. I've got to find a new word
Two
there. Two
craps.
shits about it, but whatever, I said it. Um, but kind of at the end, like also if we maybe missed a couple expenses, if it's kind of coming out to zero anyway, I'm just like, you know what? I've had situations in the past where I penny counted and it just stressed me out more. And it's like, say, Libby, like we need to move on with life. So I
Hmm.
find if one person pays for accommodation, which is usually one of the biggest expenses, encourage the other person for like a week, 2 week trip to pay for everything else. And it kind of balances out, honestly.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
100%. Yeah.
yeah,
And I totally echo what you're saying with having that conversation up front. I think that also saves relationships because if you go in and
it
you don't talk about
helps.
it, no, it does though, because I think money is a big thing that people are scared to talk about. And so if you go into a trip with somebody and you don't know what their ideas are around money or what they're expecting from it, then there's that difference, and then it can cause some tensions and make the trip really bad. Like I went on a trip once with somebody that they ended up being very weird with money, so it was very much like I would pay for everything, but then I ended up not getting paid back for it, and then I was a little bit like, oh, that's weird, but then it was just a weird thing. So there was just a lot of things where if I would have had that conversation up front, I wouldn't feel so bad about it, because I think she ended up expecting that I was just going to be her sugar mommy for some reason.
It's giving me
Um,
such an icky, like, you
yeah,
don't want to be taken advantage of.
exactly, exactly. And it's not like I'm gonna say this right now. I'm not a millionaire. Like I don't have a lot of money to my name, but it was just. I think it was just because she was, I don't know, maybe getting out of school or something. But it was just something that, just because we're going on a trip together doesn't mean that I have to support it. Like there's also different ways. But I should have had that conversation up front, and I think that's something that I learned, and I really appreciate you bringing that up, as well as just talking about it. Is as awkward as money can be to talk about it, just say up front, are you somebody that are you're okay with splitting things 50-50, or do you really want to be like, okay, no, you had that extra beer at the restaurant, you have to pay that extra €5 50 cents, whatever.
That one's yeah, like when it comes to a drink, if one person drank, one person didn't. If it's like one beer, I'm like just split the bill 50-50. Like
Yeah.
this is more work. It's easier in Splitwise. It's easier for everyone. Next time I might get a drink and you might not. If it's consistently that the person you're with is getting 3 drinks and you're sober all the time, that's where I start to get like, you know what? Like I'm just going to put this 60-40 or something. And this is I'm in a place where money is tighter. I am very
Hmm.
conscious of it. I'm not with extra fun money right now. And so I'm looking at these things. And if you're someone who has the flexibility and you're like, it doesn't bother for me, everything kind of flows, I might have a little bit more extra fun money, then that's fantastic. But we need to have that conversation. Like, what's your expectation coming into it? So, the one question that prompted this topic that I am so curious, and actually, I love that I get to ask you because you often travel with your partner. When we're saying, okay, we're in an Airbnb,
Hmm.
there's 3 bedrooms, and there is 5 of us.
Hmm.
So, there are 2 couples and one single person. Are we splitting the Airbnb per room or per person?
Per person, 100% of the time.
So, okay,
Yeah.
I'm like freaking out. Like, it's not coming across on the podcast, but like, my face is like, thank you. But I have
Yeah.
had per room.
See, and that's where I don't understand, because you have 5 people staying there. So why would you, like, why are you expecting the one person to pay extra, essentially?
Okay,
Like, that's
so
not, yeah.
there was a situation where there was one, two, three, four. Oh, no, wait. there was five of us, right? Two, four. Yeah, there was five of us. And there was three bedrooms again, but one room. So three single people though, and a couple. So the couple
Mhm.
took a room with a double bed. And then there was a room with two single beds. And I was like, well, I'll go in there and split it with you. So it's cheaper. Because we were splitting per room, I was like, I'll take the hit and split and sleep in a single bed. Because if you want the queen bed to yourself, you can pay more. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of, it's a hard one.
I can see, yeah, I understand your point from there. So I guess it depends on what the area looks like then.
I
Because
think it
if you're
depends
going to
what
split
you're
it per room,
getting.
yeah, and also who you're traveling with too. Like if people are going to die on that hill about it, and is that really something to break a friendship up over or whatever? Because like I said, some people are weird about money. So again, just having that conversation up front, but in 100% of the situations I've been in, because Pat and I travel a lot together, I think it's fair to split per person because you're also usually in the rent. Let's say if you're there for a longer amount of time, you also have to pay for electricity, you also have to pay for water. And that for me makes 100% of sense that you split it per person and not per room because you're a
Yeah.
person and you use the electricity and you use the water. So in my mind, rent also makes sense that way.
Yeah, in this scenario, and if they're listening, they'll know who they are. They also had the couple had a baby with them, which it was my first time. I didn't know how to handle this, and in that case, I did appreciate it was per room because they clearly got the biggest room with because they needed space for their child as they should have. And I was like, I am fine taking the corner tiny bed, but I'm not going to pay the same that you get to have, you know, the ensuite or like space with like your baby and your partner, and you get this whole corner of the apartment. And then I, just because I'm a solo traveler, I mean, I wasn't solo at that moment, right? But like, I'm fine to like squish in the corner with my backpack. So I think it's, again, it just comes down to that communication and expectation. And if someone really, if there's a clear difference between what you're getting, like if the rooms are pretty similar, I think just split it per person. Again, that longer term thing too, like what are the expenses? So very interesting that you defaulted to per room though. And if anyone has thoughts, they should put them in the comments below. On Spotify and YouTube, you can leave us comments. So do you usually split per person or per room?
Curious what
Okay,
everybody says.
I'm super curious. Actually, I could put a poll out. Should we do our first poll, Shandy?
Yeah. Do
So on
it. Yeah, yeah.
Spotify, I'm gonna leave a poll, and it's gonna say, when you're traveling with people, do you split per person or per room?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Yeah.
see how that works.
Nice. I'm excited to see that. Okay, Anna, I'm dying to ask you this question because I think it's very different from Europe versus North America standards. So, what are your thoughts on credit cards and loyalty points programs?
My default is it's an American thing.
Yeah.
I think it's just an American thing in general. I It's so interesting. So I think you could provide the better perspective here, but I think Europeans in general are better with their money. They rely more on a debit card. They make money, they spend money, and they don't rely on credit cards. And in North America, so I'm generalizing, I'm not sure about Mexico, I can't speak for that, but let's say Canada and the United States, we are not educated on credit cards. It is not part of our school system. We are not taught, again, going back to the beginning of this conversation, I was taught at the dinner table how to handle a credit card. It is best to pay it once per month because if you pay it more than once per month, you're actually like faulting the system into thinking you have more credit than the bank has given you. What is credit even from the bank? What is interest? Like all these things. So I'm getting a bit passionate here about it, but I think credit card points and systems are really built for someone who has enough income and money to play the system. So if you are someone who, you know, you're an entrepreneur, you're starting your business, you're backpacking, you're doing things very frugally, which I don't even, frugal is not a bad, you're just money freaking aware and smart, honestly. But you
Yeah.
can live paycheck to paycheck and be a millionaire too. Let's just preface that. Like there is no, oh, I'm just like getting passionate about it. Okay, back to credit card points. So I have a credit card that I have chosen because it does not carry the fee that is, I think, 0.2% in general of converting money. So yes, there is a conversion rate, but most regular credit cards from Canadian banks at least have this other fee that if you're trying to, you pay something, you pay for a coffee in euros, it's going to come through on your bank statement on in Canadian dollars, and there's going to be a 0.2% fee every time you do that. So this credit card I did choose specifically for that reason, because over long periods of time, that's going to really add up. It also had some features like travel insurance, flight cancellation, luggage being lost. There's a few things in there that give me a safety net should something happen. So I love credit cards for the fact that there's some travel insurance in there.
Yeah.
If I once actually, like, my bike got stolen and I had just bought it, and it was like $900. Why I spent $900 on a bike in Vancouver, I don't know. I mean, young Anna problems. But I was like, I just bought this. And so I actually went through my credit card insurance. I got all my money back.
Wow.
Yeah, never got my bike
Wow.
back, but I got money.
I guess that
So,
that's good to have that. I think that's
yeah.
really
And
yeah.
I think there's some things like there's certain rules, if it's over 6 hours delayed, they might be able to give you like a hotel voucher and things. So for bigger expenses, like buying equipment, especially as digital nomads, so laptops, phones, cameras, 100% I'm putting it on a credit card because there's some kind of safety net there, but you have to buy it with a card. And the same with car rental too. A lot of credit cards have car insurance with them, some of the travel ones, but you
Hmm.
have to make sure that you pay for the car rental with that card. So if your friend's like,
Oh,
nah,
okay.
I've got cash, let me just pay for it, I'll just say, you know what, in this moment, I actually would like to pay for it because I'm driving, maybe for one, and we're going to have car insurance. We don't have to pay car insurance. There are some like unexpected perks, but I think the Canadian credit cards don't play the travel point system like the Americans do. I don't believe in it because I also think more people go into credit card debt than actually getting usage of their points.
Yeah,
That was a long
100%.
tangent.
No,
Shandy.
I agree with everything you just said, 100%. I want to leave it at that, but
She
I
like
do want to
wipes
add
her hands clean.
done.
He's
You
like,
said
mic
exactly what
drop.
was on my mind. Yeah. I do want to also add that I think it's very important that if you ever do use your credit card, to make sure that you have that money already. So let's
Yeah.
say if you have, let's say you buy a laptop or something and put it on your credit card, that you know that you either have that money or will have that money very soon to pay off that credit card, because that's where it can become very dangerous, is that you think, oh, in the next 6 months I'll come into money and I'll be a millionaire and I'll be able to pay off everything. No, 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 no. That's how you get into big trouble. And that's how you get into paying off that credit card for the rest of your life. So make sure whatever you put on that credit card, you are able or capable to pay that off ASAP, as soon as you can, like very quickly.
Yeah. There's two
Yeah.
resources I want to share with people. They are American based to give understanding. One is called Her First 100K, and it was started by a gal who comes from like a musical theater background, which I love. And she has a podcast, I believe it's called Financial Freedom. And she's talking all about the point system and making money and investing. And she talked about, in the American system at least, people putting money into a kind of sheltered investing uh, what's the right word, investing bank account, but
Okay.
they didn't actually invest their money. They didn't actually put it into stocks or bonds or places or ask someone to do it. So the thing is, they put this money into this bank account, this shelter, and it just sat there and it never grew because they didn't put it in anything that helps it grow. And then 30 years later, they think they have a retirement and they don't. So that was one of her examples. So I think there's also Caleb Simpson. I think that's his name on YouTube. I know it's Caleb
I think,
Simpson.
yeah, I
He
think
yells at people.
yes, yes, yes. And
So his
explains
YouTube,
debt to people.
he explains debt. It's
Yes.
intense. Don't watch it before bed. It'll get your heart racing. But I think he does a great job of opening up what people are doing and their habits, and like, oh, but I needed those drawer organizers. And it's like, did you? I can't speak on the point system because I'm not spending enough to really maximize like getting an
Yeah.
American Express. You have to spend like minimum 4,000 a month to even use a
Yeah.
certain American Express. And I'm like, dude, like, I
The amount
don't
of
need
money that
to.
comes through there is crazy. That
Yeah,
blows my
like
mind that, yeah, you
if I
don't
was
need to spend
working
that much money.
oil and gas in the early 2000s in Alberta and had 3 kids, then maybe it would be worth getting an Amex for the points, like just the amount of money coming in and out, it would have
Hmm.
been worth it, paying for kids sports and like stuff like that. But nah, it's just not for me. But I would encourage North Americans and anyone who has access to apply for a credit card, do consider what kind of perks there are, read the fine print, compare them, Don't just rely on the bank. The bank wants to sell you them. They want you to go into debt because then they make money from you. And just use your money tracker so you can actually like see what you're spending on and make sure your subscriptions too. Do you have a lot of
Yeah.
subscriptions, Shandy?
I mean, I have more now business wise, but personally, no, I don't have much. And I think that came from living in the van as well, that we didn't really need subscriptions for anything. Now, of course, we have internet subscriptions and we have Netflix and we have like the general ones, but we're also very cognizant of subscriptions that we add and if we do actually need them and if we will use them, yes or no. Business wise, I'm a little bit more lenient because it's a business expense and it makes my life easier with different things. Like, for example, ChatGPT, I pay for it because it makes my life a lot easier. So, those kinds of things I'm a little bit more lenient with. But generally, I'm very, very conscious about subscriptions that I add because at the end, you probably end up forgetting a lot of the subscriptions that you have. And it's just money getting taken out of your bank account every single month. And it's just wasted money at that point. I just think, like, I think the way that I think about money is just when I'm about to spend, let's say, money on clothes or something, and I look at a shirt that's 50 euros, I think, okay, that's 3 hours of work or that's 3 hours of my life that I invested. Is this shirt worth it? And then I look at it that way to think, okay, do I actually need that shirt that costed me 3 hours of my life? Or do I maybe put that away? And if I keep thinking about it weeks down the road, then maybe I'll go back and get it again if I really do think that the investment is worth it. But generally, most of the time, it's just a fleeting thought. And I think, oh, I can go and buy that. And I think, I don't actually need that. And then I leave it there and I forget about it.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring this up. I would encourage people, and I'm going to encourage you too, to not be so tit for tat with your money and your spending. So be at peace with it. And that's something I'm really trying to incorporate because I think if you just, yes, be intentional, be mindful, be aware, but not so I have to work 3 hours to buy this shirt because everything kind of will balance out. And if you're at peace with it and you keep working hard as you are, it will be okay. To counter that though, it's funny because if you're on YouTube, I'm wearing this blue plaid shirt, which is funny because Shandy and I went to a store and I tried it on. And I was like, oh, I do like it. I just don't know. And I was like, I'm going to think about it. So I put it back. And I was like, this is a store that will have it in a couple of months. It's part of their summer collection. And then we got on a call and she's like, you're wearing this shirt. You got it. And I was like, yeah. I went back and I decided this is something I would love to have in my wardrobe to elevate it. It's a piece I'm going to wear. It's a piece I would pack for travel. That's kind of my rule. Like if I won't pack it for
Yeah.
travel, it's not worth it. So someone said a 30-day rule. When you have that like urge to buy something, sit on it. Think about it for a minimum a week. And then if you're like, oh, that would be really great. And I think business expenses are different. I think business expenses, I kind of go reverse. I try them first. I try them for a week, for a month. And then I ask myself, is this helping me? Is this clearing some space? Is it worth the money? And worth the money is like, it's improving it. So I think just think about things more. And North America, we are bombarded with freaking Amazon here. I'm sorry, but
Yes.
if I can go 14 months with never ordering Amazon, you can too. It is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it's a lot. This has been a really interesting topic, Shandy. It's been fun to chat with you about this.
Yeah. I honestly, I can already think about that we can have a whole nother episode about this. So I can see this in our future episodes. But it's been really great and also really insightful for me as well. I loved all the tips that you dropped. And I am crossing my fingers. Can't wait for the day that you release your, I don't want to say budget
Money
template, but your
tracker,
money tracker. I'm
money
really looking
tracker
forward to
template.
that.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
it'd be great. And I agree that there's definitely future episodes. I think it'd be interesting to interview someone who maybe talks about this point system, about travel more, and also from the business perspective. We didn't really get into that on this episode. So we can definitely dive into it. But thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this episode. We are on Spotify at Where She Builds, and it'd be great if you could give us a little rating and follow the show. It's going to help to boost it and to bring it to a wider audience. You can also find us on YouTube, subscribe there. I'm Anna at Your Travel Friend Anna, and my co host is Shandy at Coach Shandy. And we will see you in the next episode.
Thanks for listening.
Ciao for now.